All right, welcome,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Paula Brown. We're going to get started immediately with our questions. Question number one. What do you perceive as the greatest obstacles to justice? What can we as a community do to address those obstacles? And if elected, what would you do to address those obstacles?
Well, I think the greatest obstacle is access to justice. And I can talk to you about that on both the civil side and the criminal side. On the criminal side, I think we deal mostly with budget. ODP, who is the defender's office that represents indigent defenders, if they cannot afford an attorney, that's mandated by the Constitution. They have a limited budget. It is allocated to them by the state and then trickled down to the office. And while they have attorneys to represent defendants, not enough, which means that defendants lie in wait. They probably have a longer wait time. Well, they do have a longer wait time in jail, waiting for even the initial visit by an attorney that is appointed to them. On the civil side, we also have access to justice in litigants actually knowing how to facilitate the court system, but more than that, even knowing the court system, period. We do at Civil District Court have a help desk where litigants who are self-represented, they can go and get help from attorneys who are providing pro bono services, and the attorneys do not give them legal advice but help them to fill out the forms in order to move and facilitate through the court. Moreover, I think that we as a whole need to provide more outreach to the citizens of Orleans Parish to even let them know what we do as a court and what we do as an appellate court or even the Supreme Court. I think on this campaign trail I have found many citizens who they do not even understand what the appellate court does. So if I think about what I would want to do on the appellate court, would be more outreach to first provide the citizens with what we do as a district court, as a criminal court, as an appellate court, as a Supreme Court. The appellate court is a reviewing court. It reviews all of the judgments and rulings of civil district court, juvenile court, domestic court, and criminal court. Another aspect to access to justice is the Louisiana Appellate is an organization I work closely with, and that organization has litigated and been an advocate for simple successions. If you remember Hurricane Katrina and even what's going on in Baton Rouge right now with the flood, there are many citizens in Orleans Parish who did not own their home, but it was inherited from generation to generation. They lived in the home, but they did not have clear title. And the Louisiana Appellate took the charge to advocate on their behalf and work closely with organizations that would provide pro bono access to help file successions on these citizens' behalf. That right there is access to justice.
Okay, thank you. Question number two. To build, do you believe that citizens have adequate access currently in our legal system? And if not, as you described, what can be done to provide wider and better access?
Well, I think I just answered that question in regards to whether I believe that they have adequate access to justice, and I do not. What can be better? I think community outreach. I think we as elected officials, particularly judges, have an obligation to inform citizens of their rights. We cannot give any legal advice. Just last week, I went to Dillard University and spoke to a group of students. And what I explained to them was simply what I do, the levels of the different courts. There are three branches of government, the legislative branch, the judicial branch, and the executive branch. And most people don't know the judicial branch. Even in this election, we are anticipating a very low turnout, probably because people are not fully aware, or they may not care, or they are not informed about the judicial branch of government and think that they probably will never have any involvement in the judicial branch, and that's simply not true. So I think it's incumbent upon us as judges to do outreach, in addition to going to speak to schools, going to talk to organizations, and we probably could put on a fair in order to teach that. Now, I can make it a commitment today that if elected to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeal, I would make that a mission of mine to better inform the public. And what I do right now, I went to the school, as I indicated. These are students who are in college. These are students who are maybe not familiar, but they are seeking an advancement in their educational background. But what about those who did not go to college? Or what about those who are not seeking advancement in educational background? I think we have an obligation to not just students who are in college, not just those who are even have advanced degrees, but to those who do not have a degree, or maybe only have a high school diploma. I think we owe them that extra step to go out and provide community access.
Okay, thank you. Number 3, while serving on the bench, do you believe you have a role in bringing important legal or judicial issues before the public or the legislature? Why or why not? What should your role be?
Well, as a judge, we are bound by the Code of Judicial Canons. And in that code, number one, we cannot discuss cases that are currently pending before the court. That would be before my court, in my colleague's court, in the Fourth Circuit, which is the court that I am seeking to advance to, or the Supreme Court. While we are citizens and we do have opinions, we are allowed to voice opinions as a citizen, but we have to be very careful not to cross that line. We have, in Civil District Court, or even all the district court judges, we have a District Court Judge Association, and we have meetings and we have committees, and we determine what issues that we need to bring before the legislature. But these are issues pretty much grounded in law. For example, the legislature makes the laws. We advocate sometimes for laws that affect the way our courtroom is operating, laws that affect procedure, laws that affect certain rights, but we don't cross the line on advocating for positions. As judges, we cannot advocate for positions, and here's why. If I advocated for a position and a similarly situated issue comes before the court and I am the judge, someone would ask for me to be recused because they would think that because I believe or think one way and I was an advocate for it, I can have an opinion, I could believe a certain way, but being an advocate for a position puts me as a jurist in a compromising situation. If it's a look of impropriety, then I would be probably recused off the case.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Sometimes the outcome of a case can be different depending on whether the laws are read literally and strictly interpreted, or whether the laws are read to conform with the intent of the legislature or regulatory body. How would you address these situations?
Okay. I am not a strict constructionist of the law. I think that we are a court of justice. And when we look at the scales of justice, that's exactly what that represents. And sometimes the law is black or white. But the law is black, in my opinion, the law is black, white, and gray. And depending on the facts and circumstances, I think you have to interpret the law as it relates to a particular set of facts and circumstances. And you may have to interpret the intent of the legislatures when ruling or determining how these facts applies to the law. I think that every case is different, and one case does not determine the outcome of another case. And as judges, we are bound to review each case separately, distinctly, and determine the facts and apply the applicable law as it relates to that case.
Lastly, describe a situation where you had to support a legal position that conflicted with your personal beliefs. Please tell us how you handled it.
Okay. I had a case, and I would say this, I don't know if it actually conflicted with a belief, but it was very, the attorney in his writings was very derogatory. In fact, the language that was used in the writing was borderline racial as it related to African Americans, and but on the motion itself, he won the motion. I think that it was a difficult decision for me, but the law and the facts were on his side. However, I did underscore some of the language that he used in his pleading, and at the hearing, and was very clear about my disappointment in his usage of a certain verbiage, and it was the underlying intent. Even though it did not cross the line, I think that the intent behind it was not professional, did not rise to a level of professional conduct of an attorney, and it was disrespectful to the court, and it was disrespectful to me.
Well, thank you so much, Bob. The floor is yours. Please inform our membership who you are and give them the information regarding your campaign that you'd like to share.
Thank you so much. I am Paula Brown, and I am a judge at Civil District Court Division J. I have been a practicing attorney for nearly 25 years and sitting as a judge in Civil District Court for 7. I am asking you for your support and your vote. I am qualified for this position, not just legally, but I would love for you to look at me holistically. To tell you a little bit about my background, I graduated from Tulane A.B. Freeman School of Business and Southern University Law Center. I have clerked at Civil District Court and the Louisiana Supreme Court, preparing writ applications and opinions for the justices' review. I have served as counsel for both plaintiffs and defendants, and my vast experience led me to an appointment by the Supreme Court as Judge pro tempore. This was prior to the citizens of Orleans Parish electing me to this position. I am a public servant, not just on the bench, but also off the bench. Off the bench, I am a mentor, I'm a big sister. I'm involved in organizations that help children to read, that protect and support homeless youth. I am also a breast cancer survivor, and as a survivor, I go out and speak to audiences and organizations and schools and high schools about my experiences, but not just that, about early detection. These are things that I do off the bench, but I have done my entire career, not just because I'm running. I ask that you go to my Facebook page if you would like to view more information about me at Judge Paula Brown, or my website, www.judgepaulabrown.com, or all my social media sites at Judge Paula Brown. If you look at my Facebook page and you scroll down, there's a lot of information on there now. We're in the thick of this election. But look at what I did in the past. Look at me being in the community, being a part of the community, and planting seeds and making these roses grow. I'm asking you for your vote. I am number 4 on the ballot, and my name, again, is Paula Brown. Thank you so much.